Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 481st episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today, Erin Chase returns. It's been almost 5 years. She was on episode 169. She's the founder of $5 Dinners. Great story that has resonated with me. I've known her now for over 5 years. We were both speakers at Entreport's Entrepalooza. And we talk about that story, how we met, how she'd reached out, and how she has grown. And, she was a stay-at-home mom, just, out of necessity, had to save some money. And how that has turned into a business. She's employing a team. What she means when she says we are trying to fill the internet with our content. And how is she doing that? So you are in for a treat. I will keep the intro short and sweet. My oldest is flying home to San Francisco here in a little bit, so we'll go hang out. We're also pet sitting Bosley, who might be the coolest dog in the history of the world. Now Maisie is jealous. We've started a GoFundMe page so we can bribe the owners. We're just going to pay them off and keep the dog. So help me with that, all right? But look, as we kick into 2021, if you are part of a sales team, if you manage a sales team, if you are tired of crappy sales training or non-existent sales training for your team, if you are looking for something you can do on your own, either on demand, self-paced, or in an ongoing group with my reinforcement and your peers' reinforcement, hit me up. All right, go to thesaleswhisper.com, fill out the contact us. We can talk about it, see which program is right for you, and I will help you, okay? And if you've got a CRM, you need more out of it. It's another reason to reach out. You can take the quiz, okay, crmquiz.com, or again, you can fill out contact us, and we can talk about it. I'll help you narrow down your choices and make sure you pick the right one. If you've got one, you need to get more out of it. Let me know. It's another reason for us to talk, okay? And finally, if you're thinking about bringing somebody in, either in person or remotely, I'm doing that. I've got some great referrals coming in, losing my train of thought. What is today, man? It's like the end of the year almost. But if you need somebody, Zoom, virtual, short sessions, long sessions. I don't recommend you do day and 2 day long Zoom sessions. Keep it short and sweet. Do some reinforcement training. Drive home the concepts that you learn. Make sure that they're sticking. Okay. Apply what you learn and then tweak it. Most people, they want to push back. Oh, my business is different. My industry is different. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Take what I give you, use it at first. It's going to be a little bit awkward. It's just like going and getting golf lessons, right? You go get golf lessons because you're not getting the results that you want. You're not getting the results that you know you're capable of. So when that golf pro moves your left hand, moves your right thumb, adjust the angle of your right foot, your left foot, your takeaway, shortens your takeaway, lengthens your backswing. It all feels weird at first. And too many people quit after just a couple of hacks. You got to give it time. You got to groove that swing. You got to groove it on the range. You got to go out, alone on the course. Go out now. Do it with playing for a quarter, a hole, for bragging rights, for who buys the first round. Do it. See how you perform under pressure. Okay. Then if you need to adjust some of the adjustments. Very few people stick with it, anything, long enough. I don't know if I've talked about it. Probably did, but December 18th got my purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Almost, so 1 month shy of 4 years to get to that point. And yesterday I trained one-on-one with one of our black belts, Navy SEAL, black belt in jiu-jitsu, pretty tough character. And, we talked about the importance and the value of just having solid fundamentals. And it's not sexy, it's not exciting, and it's finally clicking with me and how important those are even in jiu-jitsu. It's crazy. I mean, almost 4 years. I distinctly remember 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, so very recently, I asked one of our black belts about some problem I had with a particular move, and how to defend it. And what he showed me was just the fundamentals. I just wasn't doing the fundamentals in that particular situation, and it was so eye-opening, so frustrating, right? But also enlightening and encouraging, because it's like, okay, I can do that. It's fundamental. I can do what you just showed me. I'm a fool for not perfecting it, for internalizing it, for leveraging it. I'm crazy, but it's how things are. They say when the student is ready, the master will appear, right? When the student is ready, the lesson will appear. The lesson will take hold. You see it all the time. People come out and speak. And, hey, how come you didn't talk about that last time you were here? It's like, I did. This is the exact same talk. You just hear what you need to hear. So I'm seeing everybody on Clubhouse. This one guy's like, I gave a talk just now, I think what 3 separate programs, 4 simultaneous programs. I'm adding more. I'm like, okay, maybe that works. That just exhausts me to think about trying to turn on whatever. Snapchat Live, Instagram Live, Facebook Live, Clubhouse, YouTube. Like, oh, crap. Do you even have something worth saying to all those platforms? I think 2021 is going to be the year of fundamentals. It's going to be my theme. So, hey, if you want to get back to your fundamentals, sales, email scripts. I just replied to a guy. I get all these pitches. It's unbelievable. I get pitched so much. People want to be on my podcast. They want to submit a blog. They want me to link to them. They pitch me. They want me to use their services. And so many are so lazy. And this guy does lead generation. And I know he scraped my info from LinkedIn because it said, hi Wes, dear Wes, and then all these crazy characters. Because I've got this little red phone icon in my name, in my first name. And I started using that years ago. There's a sales trainer in the UK that I saw. He had it. So I just put it in my name as well. I think it kind of stands out, makes your name stand out. But the added benefit that I've learned is that it identifies people that are scraping my name. Because I get emails with weird characters, and then inside of LinkedIn, it includes that red phone. So, hi, Wes, I'm expanding my network. I would love to connect with a professional like you, blah, blah, blah. So I know it's fake. It's automated. They paid somebody probably overseas to scrape their contact list or scrape the list in general, export it, and then use some third-party tool to automate it. Or there's a human, getting paid $3 an hour to copy and paste and send these messages. But again, this guy does lead generation in cold outreach. I was like, hey, dude, you almost had me, except for the 2 glaring issues there, 2 grammatical errors, and 2 misspellings. Other than that, you almost had me. It's the fundamentals. A guy wouldn't take time to scrub his database to make sure that the names are clean. Didn't take time to realize he's conversing with an English, an American English contact list, prospect list. He's using, the British Queen's English in the terminology. And that's not a bad thing if he was from the UK. But I think he is from the UK, but he lives in Austin. At least his email said he was in Austin. So if you're claiming to be an American, helping Americans market to Americans, then use American English. But again, it's not a big deal. I've had plenty of Brits on here, got plenty of Brit friends, and do business with them, and vice versa. But the point is, you got to be consistent. And it's the little things. If he had removed that little icon and said my name clearly and fixed those errors, I might have set a meeting with him. So, but I digress. Again, if you need some help, go to thesaleswhisperer.com, hit the contact us. Let's see how I can help you. But now I know this interview with Erin is going to help. So let's get on with the show. Erin Chase, my fellow my fellow COVID survivor with tiger blood, back for more, almost 5 years to the day. Welcome
Is that
back.
true?
That's true.
5 years?
I just looked it up on this here blog post software techie stuff I got. Sure enough. So welcome back. How the heck are you?
Thank you. I'm okay. I think okay is a good word, like you said.
Okay, at the end of
post-COVID.
2020, that's good.
Yeah, I just, okay.
I mean, you're vertical. You're vertical. I mean, the top half of you looks good. You probably got sweatpants on and flip-flops, but hey, at least what we can see, you look presentable.
I am presentable. I actually have on jeans and booties. So I'm actually like fully ready for today.
Are you saying you got your stuff together?
Maybe just today. I can't say I did yesterday, but today.
I bring out the best in people, don't I?
Yes, you sure do.
Oh, man. So we met at Entrepalooza, to be specific. We were both speakers. We were speakers, and you were so savvy. You were working the Twitter game, and you were reaching out to fellow speakers, so it wasn't a cold reception when we showed up. But how did you get so smart?
Well, listen, I have been to so many events, and the events that I've gone to over the years, and you know this, you're on the event circuit, and always know somebody, always know. I've never been to an event that I've either not known them via email or Twitter, or back in the day there was Skype, I'd always known somebody. So I think that I was a new customer user of Entreport, and I was going to go to their event, and I was like, I knew one person at the time, or I should say knew of one person at the time who used Entreport. And I certainly didn't know anybody that was going to be at the event. And I thought, I need to meet people before I go. And and people would say that my superpower is connecting people. And so I'm already like inclined to want to connect with people. And so that's why I hit Twitter. And there you were.
Very nice. And then I snuck up on you. I said something like, is dinner like $5? And you were like so confused. You're like, who is this guy? I'm like, hey, you reached out to me.
Why is this guy talking to me and know about $5 dinners? And definitely tough to do $5 dinners in California, although not out of the question. But yeah, it was just nice. It's just nice to know you. I at least knew you, even though we hadn't really met. I knew you, and you're a super connector. And so you connected me with, I don't know how many people, because you already knew those guys from, working in the CRM space, years prior. So that it just sort of, I don't know, just worked.
So your $5 dinners started out in the last recession, right?
Yeah, 2008, the summer of 2008, when the gas prices shot up. I was not working at the time. My husband had a teaching job, long commute. So for us in our budget, it was the gas price going up really pinched us pretty good. And I just thought I got to do something. So I started with the grocery store and getting clever with the, ingredients I was buying and the meals we were making, and just a little bit of couponing. I've never been like really super extreme into couponing. It is a tactic, but I think meal planning and just being smart about what you're buying is more, practical for most people. So just started a blog about that. And here we are 12 years later, which makes me a great grandma. And
it's like internet years are like dog years, but exponential. So each year is like 70 years. So we're old like Methuselah.
Yeah, we are like biblical old here. It's what we are. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey, and I'm just tickled and honored every day to get to be this leader for people who are just struggling to feed their families every day and to do it on a budget. And so it is, that's why I get up every day. It's why I do what I do.
Well, so I just had an epiphany. You're going to be bigger than Sarah Blakely with Spanx. Okay. And here's why. Here's how you're going to do it. And it's going to happen in the next 30 days. Okay.
Tell me.
You're going to bring my wife on to create the coupon division of $5 dinners. And it's going to, she teaches Kohl's employees how to use their coupons. I mean, so you need my wife for the coupon course.
I do. She would be fantastic. I love a good deal. I love a good deal. And I think I'm not sure if that's personality or it's just kind of a money philosophy, the frugality component of things.
Yep.
And, because, and I don't know if we want to go down the money trail, but it's, when I think about, $5 dinners and saving money on groceries and meal planning and all of that, I really want to dig like all the way down and like figure out the motivation and the reason, kind of why it's so exciting for me to do this every day. One is to make dinner easier for stressed out moms and dads, because, oh my word, why do these little people want to eat every day? I do not know.
They won't eat like 3 times a day, sometimes 6 times a day. 6
times a day. Thank you so much. Especially in this 2020 season of like the kitchen's always open. It's more like 12 times a day. But anyways, but I think too is that when you need money for anything, whether it's because something came up, or because, like for us, an example of that would be, we had a kid who needed like a palate expander. And like, we were thinking they would need orthodontic work when they were older, but he was 8 when he needed this palate expander, because he had like cross jaw and all this stuff. And so like I cramped way back down on grocery spending because I needed a little more cash each month to pay the orthodontic work. And so that's just like one example. And then that's to pay for like a thing that kind of comes up. The other is putting it towards savings, right? Whether you're in sort of a payoff or a pay forward situation, the easiest place to find money is your grocery spending, because it's the easiest to control. And it's often the highest that you can control. Like, we can't really control our mortgage unless, you refinance this year because the rates have dropped so low or whatever. You can't really control, your household bills per se. You might be able to negotiate like your internet bill or something every year or so. But when it comes down to it, it's food. And so I think, that's also really exciting to me to be able to share with people. Like, if you need $100 this month, it's in your pantry. If you need $200 this month, it's how much you're spending at the grocery store. If you need $300 this month, it's stop going through the drive-through, make a rice and beans meal. So, yeah.
I grew up on rice and red beans and rice. Can I get an amen? And I still like me some red beans and rice, but
yum.
But I digress. What I love about your story is you took something very ordinary, right? That everybody experiences, and you've made a business out of it, right? You didn't invent some new API or, launch some crazy startup. You're like bloom where you're planted, right? Like the acres of diamonds. You see, we take it for granted, comedians, right? Years ago, a friend of mine used to own a stand-up comedy store here. And I did a 6-week class with him to do an open mic. And I've spoken for years, and in the military, and give me a microphone, no problem. But to do a 6-minute routine, that was literally the hardest speaking gig I've ever prepared for. And we take it for granted. You see a comedian, they make things funny, right? Everyday things, going to the eye doctor, trying to give a kid a bath. So to find the opportunity right where we are, like when did you make that transition, right? You were doing it out of necessity. When did you go, oh man, I can teach this to others and make a business out of this?
That's probably a kind of a 3-phased approach, very similar to a lot of people, how they start their business. The first was the idea for the name $5 dinners. I remember it so clearly. It was August 21st because I started the site the next day. It was like a Fox News ticker or a Sports Center ticker, like through my brain. It was just like $5 dinners, $5 dinners, just like over and over. And that was just kind of the light bulb moment. And then I had already been sharing a few things
So August 21st, 2008.
Uh-huh.
So like right after you started just doing this for your husband?
Yeah. Yeah. I was making the meals already, and I had a family blog, and I was saying like, this is what we made. And I only spent $60 at the grocery store this week for all these ingredients. And here's what I'm going to make. And my sister was like, please just show me pictures of the kids at the pool. I do not want to know what you're buying at the grocery store. So she had said that week. And then I had this, and I was, that kind of got me thinking. And then when I had that little like ticker moment, it kind of all came together, and I already had a blog spot. I already knew what to do. So that's when I started the next day, I started the new one, and just started adding recipes. I didn't realize it could be a business until October. So it was 2 months later. At the beginning of October, put ads on the site, not AdSense ads, but I had enough traffic already because it just took off because of the concept and the recession and everything. And so I put ads on, didn't even look. I didn't even log in to look until the end of the month. I just was like, oh, I wonder what that was all about. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could buy all of our groceries this month with just this cash. What is happening? And so that was kind of the moment of, okay, this could be a thing if I really, that's when it turned from hobby per se to, all right, we're going all in. We're going to do ads. We're going to get more traffic. We're going to do some affiliate partnerships, things like that. And it just kind of took off from there.
Well, how did you even know those other things? Like if my wife started blogging right now, I mean, if we were to back this up, I mean, now she kind of, just being married to me for all this time, she's heard all those phrases you talked about. But 2008, I mean, I was literally, I got Infusionsoft for myself in 2008. So I didn't, when I took the Infusionsoft test, it was around this time, I want to say September, October. August, September. I had an Adobe Dreamweaver website, 5-page website that a friend of mine built for me. I could not edit it. Didn't know anything about it. I did not have my own website. I had to get a Weebly account at Infusionsoft to embed the web form code to pass the practicum version edition of the right. So you're already ahead of me in 2008. I didn't know about affiliate marketing. I wouldn't have known how to embed a Google ad to get income. So how did you even have that baseline of knowledge?
I think it was a combination of straight trial and error and like Googling like HTML code in a Blogspot page. It was pretty sketch, I will say. I mean, if you go and look at any sort of page builder, whether it's Divi or Beaver, Ontraport has their own now, like it's a dream. They click, 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 publish, right? And so this was back like, oh, that widget's in the wrong place. Well, I can't really move it, so we're just going to leave it there. I guess that's a good place for it. Mm-hmm. And that was one, just straight trial and error. And two, I had a great pocket of friends who were kind of doing the same thing. And we were like, hey, did you know this program? You can have like a full coupon widget on your sidebar. And I'm seeing, twice as much revenue from that versus this. And so it was just a lot of, camaraderie and sharing information. And once you learn about the programs and you sign up for them, they were pretty intuitive to kind of figure out. And then two, it's kind of a combination of, with affiliate marketing anyways, it's like if you have traffic, you'll earn money because you're putting the right offer. For us, it was always coupon codes, printing coupons, signing up for Pillsbury newsletter and getting $1 coupon for whatever the seasonal promotion was. So it was a lot of that. But when you have volume, it's not hard to earn affiliate revenue per se. It's not something that I do now. Mm-hmm. I've kind of sunsetted our entire affiliate marketing, program. And everything that we do now is just traffic to the website, ad network, plus, selling our own products.
Mm-hmm. So fast forward to, let's say, 2019. I mean, the economy's booming. Um, has there always been interest in what you're doing? Are people always looking to save money even in good times?
Yes, I think so. And I think that goes back to people kind of wise up in the money space, the personal finance component of it, of like, oh, I could really save money, or if I want to hit that retirement savings max every year, I could find a couple $100 in groceries, or I can cancel cable or whatever, right? And so I think that yes, it's always been the case. What we've seen is consumer behavior has changed slightly around the use of coupons mostly. People just, it's not as, extreme as it once was, because I think people don't necessarily, or they think they don't need to. I think of coupons as just a smart strategic move. If you can save $10 a week, it's $500 on the year for your retirement account or for whatever, right? So we always encourage people to do them, but not to go,
Hey, all I
crazy all
know
out.
is when Kohl's sends that magical, I think it's 30% off. I don't know. It's like Christmas, New Year's, 4th of July. My wife's doing a dance. I mean, she calls her mom. They're like planning an event. It's lunch, it's breakfast, it's cocktails, and it's Kohl's. I mean, so coupons, they still work.
They do. And Kohl's is a great example of a retailer, Old Navy, Super Cash, there's retailers that are still playing that game because it works for them, and because they've trained their audience and they've trained consumers to buy around them. And so that's part of the, if you look at JC Penney, I don't know if you paid attention to that conversation, but JC Penney tried to do away with their coupons a couple years ago, and
Huh.
oh my word, that did not go well. So if you're curious about that story, you can Google it and go read about it. And yeah, it's just like, if your market is trained for this, then stick with it or get creative with it, right? JC Penney could have certainly kept the coupon magic going and just done something different with it,
Yeah.
and met their consumers' needs, and also met their, sales goals.
So you're making money on ads. You're making money with some affiliates. How did you learn or practice, plan your growth? Because all of that, and that could work forever theoretically, but ad prices do keep going down, right? Revenue, Google's always trying to keep more of their own money. But so you haven't stayed passive, right? You've created products, you've created programs. Like how have you plotted your growth and say, hey, here's the next thing, next avenue I want to move into to grow my business?
Oh gosh, this could take a minute. So the first thing I would say is we didn't do any paid spend until we did a hot minute of it in 2016, and then I backed it off, and then we're back on it as of last summer 2019. So it's really only been a year that we've had a full kind of ad program running, if you will. And so the most of it was just organic, word of mouth. We've had, because we started early, we have great domain authority. We've got, I would say, decent SEO. That changes so often, and it's we try our best to keep up with it, but it's tough. And then we have pretty decent social media platforms that have just grown as the website's grown. The social media has grown along with it. Pinterest being number one and Facebook being number two. And I think it's you've got to feed all of them. We feed, we always joke on our team internally, we joke about how we're basically trying to fill up the internet with things. And in being in the food space, that's easy to do because there's tons of recipes, there's photos, there's videos, there's printables, there's a lot that we can create to fill up the internet. But I think that the lesson in all of that is just the consistency of providing value and serving your community. And we do that with the recipe content and just different hacks and printables and what's working in Erin's kitchen and how's she organizing this and how's she hacking that kind of thing. And so that's in part of it is personality driven, if you will. It is Erin behind all of it. And I think because it's relatable, because it's happening in my own kitchen, because the struggle is real, all of that gets communicated everywhere. And so I think that the content creation plus being present everywhere feeds the beast, if you will. And, SEO, social media, word of mouth, email is huge. Email is what predominantly drives sales.
Oh, clearly I need to end this interview. Email is dead. Don't you know anything? How did you convince me to get on this show? Golly.
Who's saying that? Because I'd like to have some words with them about that. We should have like a email sales like smackdown, Wes. That'd be so good.
Look, cold calling is dead. SEO is dead. Email is dead. Social media is dead. I think skywriting is coming back in vogue. We should get some planes.
Oh my gosh, let's get some planes and some of those cute banners, all colorful and happy.
I think faxing is coming back.
Oh, faxing. Did you ever fax? Did you ever do that? Did you fax, or was that you were after that?
No, I remember I was working with a recruiting firm in Austin at the beginning of 2000, and we could fax a little bit. And I think it was kind of the tail end. We would get fax ads at the office. Yeah. I do remember that. Short minute. But
we should bring that back. Let's make an app that brings back faxing, some version of faxing. I don't know what that looks like.
Hey, Dan Kennedy still does it. And because people still have what they do, it's all digital, right? It just comes as an email, but the headline is fax. And so, hey, I think it does cut through the clutter.
It might very well may. Interesting.
Oh, well. So email is still number one for you, huh?
Let's have I want to have a smackdown with whoever
do it.
Says that email's dead. Listen, email is number one because email is just where you talk to your people. It's where you serve them. You're brilliant at email. I like to think that I am. I don't know. So it's what I don't know. It's just like, it's where we're going to chat. It's where I tell them about my house flood. It's where I tell them about whatever is going on in life. Right. And I think that again goes back to the relatable.
Right.
Erin's a hot mess too. But she's pulling it together, and this is how.
So let's go back though, because I think we went down a little different tangent because I was talking about like you monetized your website early on by placing some Google ads, right, on your own site, not necessarily running your own ads. So you're starting to monetize, but like I said, I still consider that like passive income, right? Obviously, you're working hard creating the content, but you're not selling a product, you're not selling a coaching, you're not selling an event. I mean, you've put on, before all this stuff happened, you had your own event in San Diego. So like, what was the first, like, did you make a cookbook? Did you make a coaching program? Like, what was the first thing you monetized after, just revenue from visitors?
The first is a series of cookbooks. I signed on with the St. Martin's Press to do 3 cookbooks, and they were released in 2011, 2013. This was pretty early on. I signed that contract in February after I started the blog it was 2010. Oh my gosh, I should know those years. They're like children. I should know their birthdays, right? So I signed that contract February after starting the blog in August. So it's pretty quick.
So by February 2009, you had that?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep. I had the contract 2009. I started working on them in April. The first one was due, I think it was October, and then it came out the first one came out in 2010. So yeah, it was real quick. Nice. That I got the cookbooks, and all along we're just building steam, building traction, building the audience. I had a Yahoo group. Do you remember what those were?
A little
That
bit.
had thousands of people in it. And then I switched them over to, and that's something else that we've done really well is we've moved our people where the next thing is, right? So I think after that, there was a Google Groups thing because I remember having like a widget. I think it was Google Groups. I don't think Yahoo Groups didn't have a widget. I think it was Google something. I don't see. Seriously, so long ago, I don't even remember. But then the next thing was something else. We did a lot of work on Twitter way back in the day. And then it was Facebook groups.
You should do $5 music and move them all to MySpace.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be funny? And Snapster, is that even a thing anymore? I know it's not, but yeah, it's like.
Did you say Snap? Did you say Snapster?
Yeah, wasn't that a thing?
Napster.
What is it? Napster?
I think you need.
What's his name? Is his name start with an S? Napster, the music.
Whose
thing.
name?
The Napster guy.
I don't remember his name, but yeah.
See, I'm getting it all mixed up in my head.
Napster was the file sharing, the music file sharing.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of, and we can blame this on COVID brain.
Because, that's right. COVID brain. I know. That's fine.
It's real.
Hey, drink some more electrolytes. Okay.
I'm gonna.
So that's cool, but you had a loyal group because you were active and real in your group, right? I mean, people got to know, like, and trust you.
Yeah, they did. I shared. We had a blog post every day, a recipe, what I bought at the grocery store.
Who's we? How long was it just you and before you started adding a team?
9 months.
Okay.
No, 10 months, because Jen came on that next summer.
And like full-time or like part-time contractor or what?
Part-time contractor, almost full-time. Yeah. So she came on, it was probably about 10 months after that.
Okay.
And it was the minute that I could afford it. I need help here because this is and I've always called this business and me kind of running it a freight train. And I've always called it that. I mean, when I send cookies or flowers to team, I'm like, thanks for helping me keep the train on the tracks. Like, it's like a thing. Like, we all know that this is Erin's freight train. And so I knew that if this was going to move at the speed that it was moving, I needed help. And so the minute that I could afford it, I was like, come on.
Mm-hmm. So obviously you start this out of necessity. You didn't have a grand scheme to take over, become the next Martha Stewart. But I know now, if I had to guess, you've got plans, you've got a vision for this. When did it turn from, tiger by the tail, freight train sort of thing to, all right, I'm still gonna be a freight train, but I got a direction. When did it shift from being, what the hell do I have to let me build this intentional thing?
Probably the minute that I signed the cookbook contracts, really. I thought, okay, my face is going to be on the cover of these books. This is going to be a thing. I'm here to meet their needs, whatever they want. And that's really what we've done. That's how it's built. That's how it's evolved. That's how we've added products. It's people asking for it. Mm-hmm. That's how, we have 2 meal plan memberships. They're different from each other. And that's because people were asking. And the solution that I was giving them for free was not ideal, not a great user experience. Yeah. So we switched it to a membership and it's so much better now. Right. And so it's been a lot of listening. And because we have an amazing team, because we have amazing tools, and because I am fearless, we can pull this stuff together real quickly because it's all there. It's very easy for me to build the next thing because 1, I know how to do it. 2, we have the resources to do it. And 3, we have the team to do it. So it's not, this 2020 has been, a dumpster fire for a lot of reasons, for myself included. And we launched 1 product, and it was more like.
Is that good or bad? I mean, are you normally launching 10 or 5?
Yes, it's bad.
Okay.
Yeah. And before that, we hadn't launched we probably hadn't launched 6 months before the, pandemic. And actually my situation started when our house flooded, which was a year ago now. So my pandemic time was extended 3 months earlier than everybody else's.
Always got to be special, huh?
Yeah, I know. My bad. But that's, but really, so we only launched one product, and it was really kind of like we didn't really launch that. Like, it was just kind of like, here's this thing we did, not the full launch that we typically do. And for next year, right here, I've got 8 there. It's right on my wall. You can't see it, but there's 8 that we're going to launch next year. And some of them are like a repurposed relaunch, if you will, and some of them are new products. And so again, it goes back to listening to everybody this whole year. And so this year has been one where we had to slow down. For personal reasons beyond COVID and the pandemic and the lockdowns, just had to slow down. So basically this year was keep the lights on, keep the businesses running, listen to people, and then we're going to just launch right out of this year into all these new things that we have, in the queue for 2021. So it's been fine, okay, I guess. Kind of slowed the momentum and the growth down, if you will, but I can see where things are going. But back to your original question, I think that launching or creating and launching products has just kind of happened naturally as the communities essentially asked for it.
Mm-hmm. How do you balance, and you may not need to balance. I mean, if you're listening, then maybe the balance comes from there, but how do you balance like sticking with tried and true versus coming out with something new, right? Because sometimes I see entrepreneurs, they water the market down, or they take their eye off the ball, because we're always balancing, right? One is, go to the well. As long as it's producing, go to that well. But like Harvey McKay says, right? Dig your well before you're thirsty. Eventually that well will run dry. You better have started and maybe even finish your next well, right? So how do you balance the tried and true, what everybody's come to know us, like new Coke, okay, no, don't do new Coke. Just do Diet Coke, right? Do cherry flavored Coke. Don't do new Coke. How do you balance that?
That makes me think of when Chick-fil-A changed their barbecue sauce recipe. Do you remember that? It was like 2 years ago. Oh no, that did not go well. Anyways,
I almost burned them to the ground. Get behind me, Satan.
That's right. Chick-fil-A sauce. And now they sell it in a bottle. Okay. Anyways, the balance is really challenging. And I think whether that's because I'm wired to be an entrepreneur, wired to be a visionary, but somehow I'm also wired to be like an operator. If you look at like visionary integrator, I really can do both fairly well. I think. I mean, if I took the test, it would probably say one or the other, but I see the vision and I can do the work. And so I think part of it is my wiring, if you will. And I'm constantly stay in your lane, stay in your lane, stay in your lane constantly. And for me, that's food. Stay in the food lane. If this thing is related to food, you're allowed to do it. I've tried to go out of my lane. It doesn't work, or it didn't for me. So stay in your lane is one thing. And I think with that, and that essentially is stay in your well, right? But if you're going to dig another well, dig it nearby and related. So all of my stuff is related to each other. They're meeting different needs. They're solving different problems, but they're all related to food. They're all related to dinner. They're all related to saving money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's the case. And I have gone off that script twice, I would say, over the last 12 years, probably twice. And it's just not.
I told you not to launch that alpaca grooming business. It did, but no, you had to learn the hard way, but that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's one day. And I have another fabulous idea that is completely off script. And I actually think I'm going to have my oldest son run with it, because he's selling merch on Amazon. Like, he's already doing some of these things. And I'm like, I have a URL for you. I have a brand for you. Let's go. Mm-hmm. And so if he wants to, he will. And I'm happy to kind of lead him through that process, but I don't have the bandwidth to do that work because it's not in my lane. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's stay in your lane, but we all have this itch to be creative. Like, give yourself that space. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to be in the online world. Like, give yourself space to go out and do these things, right? And give yourself permission to have this creative, flow, if you will, but that's not necessarily in your business. If you need to soothe that creative itch, whatever balm you need to use, maybe that's not going to interfere with your existing, what's working,
Right.
in your business now.
Yep.
So,
And you're still running all this on Entreport?
yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Um, so you can build a nice business with a nice team with cookbook contracts all on an all-in-one platform. Are y'all listening to that? I see people all the time. I think they try to overcomplicate things, or I want to switch to Kajabi. I want to add ClickFunnels. I'm gonna do Entre Pages to ClickFunnels to Entre Pages to Infusionsoft, and then kick it over to Salesforce, and then use Zoho. And I'm like, yeah, I'm already tired. I got to charge you just to listen, because that was like hurt my soul.
Oh, funny.
Right? I mean, like, dance with who brung you, huh?
Yeah. I do. I've started with Entreport. We use it to power membership, courses, and our email. Number one, I did have to add in a Shopify store that I have connected, because we sell so many physical products. I needed a storefront where people could sort of browse, if you will. And Entreport doesn't have that e-commerce solution. It has the solution to sell physical products. We do sell a lot on upsells, cross sells, downsells. We have all of that woven in as one purchases, but somebody couldn't come and pick 6 different things that we have available, right?
Yep,
so I did have to add in our Shopify, but it's all integrated. So all the post-purchase follow-ups happen via Entreport and all of that stuff. So that's kind of my system, is the CRM plus the e-commerce connected to it.
Yeah, I think people overcomplicate things. I think deep down it's a crutch, or that uses as an excuse. Well, I didn't grow because we had the conflict and it would set us back. And I think they're just afraid to put themselves out there, because if you put yourself out there and it doesn't work, then either you got it wrong, or people didn't like your message or whatever. But if the software glitched, and okay, well, no, it was still you.
Yeah. And I think too, with software, with every single Cloudflare, for crying out loud, AWS, everything's going to break at some point. It's technology, right? And so I think that it doesn't matter what technology you're using. Your host can go down. Like, it doesn't matter, right? And so I think part of it is, like you said, excuses, and the other, flip the excuse into an expectation. Like, I just expect any day for something to go wrong. Yeah. And we say in our team, and actually we say the internet's drunk this week when things are just breaking down, and sometimes it's our fault. We just didn't set the tech up right. And most of the time it's not. And so, like, the week before Black Friday, the internet was getting a little tipsy. There were just like little things happening. And we were like, okay, please no drunken behavior on Black Friday. Thankfully, whatever was going, it was just little tiny things. And it's just kind of our internal sort of joke of, well, this is, but you kind of have to expect it. And so instead of excusing it, just expect that things are going to happen. And then two, I think, especially with the more complicated tools, whether it's Entreport or HubSpot or Salesforce or whatever, you've got to learn. You have to set aside time to learn how these things work. Whether it's I have learned so much by going to the Entreport events. I've been every year except this year. Obviously, they didn't have it. I learned so much about just how the tools can be used in a marketing strategy, and we can implement that quickly. And then it's just off to the races to see how it does. And it's allowed us to be really creative and clever with connecting with people, whether it's a different type of funnel or a new type of challenge or different setup for our members, like all the different things that we've been able to pull off is because we've taken the time, myself and my assistant, to learn how the software works. So we can, we're so deep into Entreport, we're never leaving. I've told Landon, like, we're we're good. Just
Yeah.
tell me where to pay you, you
Right.
know, but on the flip of that, it's like an employee,
Sure.
it doesn't cost as much as a full-time employee per se. It sometimes can get expensive depending on, uh, well, we have a lot of contacts and a lot of emails that we send, but that's how I think of it. I think of this is an employee literally running the back end of our business. And having that mindset, I think, helps with, wanting to learn more about it. And it's almost like I would train an employee and, raise an employee sort of through the ranks, if you will. It's the same thing with even though it's a piece of technology.
Yeah.
You've got to train yourself in it or hire somebody and get them to, do whatever. And so that's kind of the approach that we've taken to it. And I think that's really helped us in the long run with growing, increasing sales, keeping the freight train moving at light speed. So, yeah.
So when upgrades come out, I had this with Infusionsoft, right? I had started using it in 2008. I still have some campaigns running, 12 years later. And back in the day, though, Infusionsoft's email builder was just horrific. I mean, you just held your nose and used it. Really, I always told people, way back then, Infusionsoft was literally not great at anything, but they tied everything together and automated at a price point that you just couldn't say no to. And that automation was the key, right? I just had to tell people, like, focus, keep your eye on the prize. But then they came out with a new email builder, right? That was and is elegant and modular, drag and drop, blah, blah, blah. So when do you bite the bullet and go, like when Entreport comes out with an update, how do you know when to just leave the old stuff running, plain text, not as sexy, like, we got to take this 87 step sequence and we're going to update it to the new stuff. I mean, how often does that happen?
We've had to go through that with Entreport because we got in April of 2015. And so we've seen Entre pages being added in. We've seen updates to forms. We've seen, when I first started, it was HTML forms. They didn't have the form builder. And so we start with our core products, if you will, because we have a number of different, programs in there, and we go one at a time. And we will update some things. I have not updated a lot of things. So I know Entreport, but there's campaigns and there's sequences. We still have like 80 active sequences and probably like 40 campaigns, if you will. And so I haven't moved it all over because it's just a bear and it's still working.
Right.
It's not broken. I don't need the crazy fancy automation. And most of what we've built into campaigns is reporting type related campaigns. So we can see the numbers really clearly on different parts and pieces. So but we do, I do something, I call it an audit. I mean, I don't know I guess that's what we call it, but it's where we go through each little brand or each program or membership or course, we go through the whole thing start to finish. So I look at every single component related to, let's say, the grocery budget makeover. That's our online course. It's a drip course. It's evergreen. People can join it at any time. So I will go from the beginning, from the homepage to the workshop page, to the join page, to the forms.
Regularly, like once a quarter, once a year?
Once a year. And this year being a little bit of an anomaly just because everything got put on hold. But we've just done that with our freezer cooking membership. And I'm actually going to move everything on 2 of our courses. So that'll be a big project. I'll write up a huge project plan, and then my assistant and I have several people on our team, but my, Entreport assistant, if you will, she and I will tackle that together and kind of divide and conquer and move it all. It just needs to be moved. It needs to be updated. We're going to record some new content for it. And that'll be one of the products I mentioned earlier that we will sort of repurpose and relaunch It's just going to be in a new place, and it'll be sexier looking, and it'll be better kind of user experience.
And it's like, it's cringe inducing when you do it, isn't it? Because even if it's a year ago, you're like, oh my gosh, I said that. I could say this better. That image, oh my gosh, probably 1 or 2 or 10 broken links. You're like, how'd those links break? You're like, holy crap. How long has that been broken? I mean, you can pull your hair out, right? I mean, lose your mind doing these audits.
Right. And
you got to do them.
They're important. And I think that, when I have this acronym, it's called plan, implement, evaluate. So we plan something, we implement it, and then we evaluate it. Well, this audit is the evaluate piece that happens more often for certain things. I mean, I'm evaluating, checking on things every day, certain things, right? But these bigger kind of system type things, I'm checking on once a year. And I think it's important to do that, because if you don't, then you start to get the angry emails and the actually got one this week for Grocery Budget Makeover. I was like, I'm pretty sure that board got sunsetted, but let me check. I did not. And actually this month I'm updating Grocery Budget Makeover like this week and next week for our January sort of relaunch of it. So I'm like, well, add that to the list of things to update. But it happens quickly. And I think, sometimes I wish I had a ginormous map of everything that we had set up. And I do have some mind maps in certain places, but I don't have a massive one, because if you fix this, you don't always remember that A, B, C, D, and E. Oh, you forgot about F and G and H and I. F and G are broken now because you fixed what you thought you needed to fix, but really it's not to say that it's complicated. I do feel like most of what we have is fairly simple, but anytime you have an automation set up, you can mess with that or break that by just changing one thing. And so the other thing that we do whenever we do updates or new setups is I record a Loom video, start to finish. And I do 99% of the crazy setups in our Entreport. If there's something super complicated, then I'll hire Neil to do that. But most of it I'm able to do because I've taught it to myself over the years. And so after I'm done with a setup or an audit, I will go through field by field, open every single section of every single form of every single thing, because that does two things. It teaches, my assistant goes over all of it as well. She's like my second eyes. It teaches her what we've done, so she knows what the customer is going to experience. She also learns the insight and the logic of Entreport, and then I catch what I missed. Does that make sense? Yep. So I think that's a part of every single setup that we do. So that's like almost like an immediate audit. But then if you're going to go change things later or do these annual type audits, then that's where you're going to see, like you said, why did I say that? I've had so many moments like that. That is not what I meant. Let me rephrase that. So yeah, I think it's kind of big picture, but also important to do that at the micro level too.
Yeah. So you were talking about Black Friday. How far in advance do you plan a big promotion? And do you like just follow all the big holidays, 4th of July sale, Black Friday sale? Do you do them as they strike you, when the fancy tickles your fancy, or how do you do?
Yeah, a little of both. Yeah. A little of both. So part of it is seasonality. So for us, that's January being the new year, kind of like I need to get my dinner act together again. Generally, we'll do something over the summer just because people's schedules adjust or their kids are in the kitchen all day long. I mean, the pandemic was a little tricky this year. It kind of was this 6-month long summer. And then we do back to school, January and August sales wise are traditionally our highest months. And then we'll do something around Black Friday. And Black Friday has actually improved for us recently because we have the physical product component. I think that, digital products and coaching products, and this was 4 and 5 years ago before we had the physical products, they were a little harder to sell because you can't package up a login email and put it under the tree, so, although you could try maybe a little gift card or something. But now that we have the physical products, that's our main focus at Black Friday is our storefront. And then the memberships is what we run the rest of the year the courses and memberships we run the rest of the year on, different promotions. We've added in, we do a number of sort of hidden promotions, if you will. So one of them, for our membership, we do an annual membership drive. So anybody who's a monthly or quarterly member, we're like, hey, switch to annual and you get this bonus and this thing and that thing. So we do a lot of kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say hidden, because we're not putting it out on social. We're not putting it into email other than to this
current
specific
members
group. Yeah. So we do those mixed in throughout the year. And really, I except for 2020, we just got derailed, but years past and for 2021, I have the whole year planned out. We know exactly what the product focus is, what the launch is going to be, what we want everybody's social media team talking about, emails. It's all, we're trying to kind of pull it all, I don't know, for our readers and our community, to make it easier for them to connect with the products that they need.
How much would you say is similar each, year to year? Like, do you take your Black Friday and just tweak it a little bit, a 10% kind of makeover just to modernize it, mention the year, maybe mention some recent facts so people know it's current, or is it like a total redo top to bottom? Back to school launch, new year. It seemed like it would be pretty similar.
As far as the setup and the technology and the automation logic, it's very similar. The customer facing side of it, I try to keep it fresh and sexy, if you will, because I don't know, if you have someone who sits on your email list, there are people who engage and sit on our email list for 2, 3, 4 years. I don't want them seeing the same thing over and over. So like this year we did Black Friday and doorbusters. We've never done that before. If your order was in before 2 p.m., we added stuff to your order, basically. We'd never done that before. And it did really well for us. And, cost wise, we're already mailing them something. What's another 6 ounces, Mm-hmm. So it did really well for us. And, I already have ideas of how I can make that better for next year. So I think I always want to be able to we don't say this every time, but I want to be able to set something up, a campaign or a promotion up in a way where I could say, we've never done this before. We've never offered doorbusters before. One year we had never offered a 25% discount. We did that last year, but we did not do free shipping because it washes, right? 20% free shipping or 25% not free shipping, it washes. So it's not the same every year, but for us, it's the same in terms of the setup and getting everything ready and all that goes along with that. But I want it to be fun for the consumer side.
Sure. All right. I could go on forever. I got a client calling 3 minutes. So I got
hurry. Okay.
For once, I've got to wrap something up on time. Where should we send folks? Where do you want them to go after listening to this to learn more about you?
So $5dinners.com is the best place to see what we're doing.
And is it the number 5 or do you have
number
both?
5? Yep. But they'll all get you there. Erin Chase, it'll all get you there. And we have pretty much only consumer products. So if you want to hear other interviews that I've done about this type of thing, search my name on a podcast player. But I do a lot of chats like this, which I love to do, but I, again, stayed in my lane. So come find me at $5dinners.com.
All right. I will link to you there. And then I got to go check out Pinterest. I keep telling myself, check out Pinterest. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe you're going to be the compelling event that gets me on Pinterest.
We should talk later. Yeah, for sure. You need to be on Pinterest 100%.
I'd let she's 13 now, probably since probably 11. So a couple of years, I let her use my account. And so I had all these boards and stuff of like women's clothing. And I'm like, I probably don't need that on my account.
You can just turn those to secret boards and start new boards. It'll be fine.
I think I did. Good. I don't know. Yeah, let's talk. All right.
We should. All right. Sounds good.
All right. Erin Chase, fellow Texan, fellow COVID brain.
Yes,
fellow
indeed.
Entrepreneur. Thanks for coming on the show. It's been great catching up.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, have a great day.
You too.
So listen, I've been playing with that there Pinterest. So I interviewed her on December 8th. And so I'm recording this intro, outro on December 30th, and I've already seen an uptick in my engagement on Pinterest, making just some very small changes. And now I've got my team making artwork for each episode. So we're going to be going back and taking the artwork for Pinterest, because everything's a different size, right? And you can take a blog post or social media, Facebook post, whatever, and put it over there. But each platform has different dimensions. Your Twitter cover artwork is a different size than LinkedIn's, different than your Facebook group or page or whatever. So take the time to make custom size artwork in each of these platforms. It's worth the extra few minutes, because once your template is made or you understand the layout, it's not that hard for a good graphic designer to port those over and apply it. So I am looking at that. She has a huge following. It's amazing. And I've gotten lost a little bit in Pinterest. There's some cool stuff. I've been jiu-jitsu, knives, guns. There's some cool stuff. I let my girls use my account. She's now 13 years old, but she's probably been using it for 2 years at least, because we wouldn't let her have her own account. So I had to spend some time going and liking some stuff, because the recommendations were all about women's clothing and whatever. It's like, oh, good grief. But I digress. But yeah, Pinterest is pretty cool. I've had Jeff Seal on a couple times, and he's dedicated to Pinterest. And hey, I'm stubborn. I'm thick-skulled. Eventually it gets through, and I do it. So better late than never, huh? But hey, I hope you got a lot out of this. Follow Erin. She's been doing great work, and she's been consistent. She's one of the few out there that, she's just real. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's an entrepreneur, business owner, and she's getting cool things done. And she's she is filling the internet with her content. So she's a great one to follow. Like I said at the top of the show, if you need some help growing your sales, getting more out of your CRM, leading your sales team, firing them up as we kick off the new year, at any time, let me know. Let's talk. Okay, thesaleswhisperer.com. Hit the contact us, and we will chat. Thanks for listening. I'll go sell something.